and welcome back to Holden's Golden Age of Wargaming. And today we're going to do something a little different. Today's video is going to be about how I make a mod in Tabletop Simulator. And if any of you are wondering or have been thinking about doing such a thing, hopefully this video will help you out. So, when you're going to make a mod in Tabletop Simulator, the very first decision you need to make is what game, what title am I going to make? So for me right now, I have this list I made. Thanks to, I should give thanks to. Let's go here. I use this as my base. The SPI Wargame Resources, and then I just took his list and by date and made up my own list, which basically shows if it's green, the title is in green, that means that I've already made the mod, already made it for Tabletop Simulator. If it's in blue, that means someone else has made it, and I don't feel any need to make my own version. And if it's in black, that means I still have to make it. So let's go take a look here. As we can see, the very beginning, this is, if you want to know how I'm going to be playing the games on my journey through SPI titles. This is it. So I've taken the first 3 years, or 1970, 71, and 72, and then I took the Board Game Geek's weight for the games, and I've sorted the first 3 years here. So like USN, which I doubt I'll actually play. I think that's, I don't want to embarrass myself that badly on video. But anyways, so you can see I've already done soldiers and Borodino, and basically after that I'll be doing Normandy and then Battle of Moscow and then 1812, the area control version, and so on. So as we go down through the years, you can see that all 1973 has been done. And then on to 1974. I'm currently working, my latest one is World War III. After that, I got to do Star Force, and then I'll have all the titles of 74 will be on Tabletop Simulator. But either of these would take far too long for a video. So, but if looking down at the beginning of 1975, there's this little game called Strike Force 1, which isn't much of a game from the looks of it, but it would be perfect to show you guys how to make a mod in Tabletop Simulator. So what do I do? The very first thing I need to do is I need to get, now that I've decided on what game I'm going to do, I need to get the images for it and the rule book and all that stuff. So what I do for all the SPI games is I go to simpubs.org, and this always takes a little while to load up, so we'll multitask here. We'll go and we'll load up Tabletop Simulator at the same time. And inside of here we need to have what we're going to start with. And what I start with is this mod right here. It's called Flex Table, and you can find this in the workshop. And I always start each of my mods with this, just a table with a pack of cards on it. Well, we're war gamers. We don't play no cards, or at least not these, so we delete those. And why do I use a flex table? Well, right here, this little button, if you open that up, it will show you that you can basically change the table. You can actually change the I don't know, the actual surface of the table. You can even, like I did for Spitfire and Foxbat and Phantom, you can actually have an image of clouds. So you can actually just put any image you want. Well, some of them will look better than others on that table. But so for here, this is the important thing. So depending on the game, you need some different sizes of tables. So, for example, if I was going to do War in Europe, which I will someday, I would hit this, and then, oh, we got a huge table. Huge, which would fit, you need to fit the War in Europe map on. But we'll go back to one by one for now. I'm not sure. That was quite a difference. I'm not sure how much space we're going to need, but I have a feeling we're not going to need very much. So actually, in configuration here, let's turn on notes and players' names. Yeah, so there's going to be these notes. Very first thing I do, of course, my own mod is I'm going to delete these notes. Don't need that hanging around when someone's trying to play your mod. All right, so let's head back. Alt-Tab out of Tabletop Simulator. And we go back here, and now, of course, all the games have loaded up, and we're looking for, what was it? Strike Force 1. Strike Force 1. Where are you? Right here. And inside here we have basically what we need to make the game. Now I do notice there is a high quality folder. So that's the map there. That's a high quality version. So we're going to download that. Click that button there. We'll go back to Strike Force. And these are the counters. Oops. These are the counters. I noticed that there's a victory point. Let's take a look. Ooh. And this is the beauty about doing a mod. Now, of course, it won't be completely historically correct, but that's the beauty of being able to make your own mods. You can use whatever you'd like. And I like the looks of these counters way more than the original. So I'm going to download those. However, just the counters. I won't use the victory point rules or map or anything. So we'll go back to Strike Force 1. We already got the map. We need the rules. And that's this right here. So we'll download that. And then we need a cover for the game. So I guess this doesn't, not much to it, but we can't really use the victory point one. So we'll download that. So now that we have those things, we're going to click on our file manager, Explorer, and we're going to go to downloads, and we see here that we have everything that I just downloaded, and we don't need the victory point map. All right, so what we need now is we need a folder to work out of, to work with our image files. So I have a directory called War Games and then Assets, and here's all the games that I've made for Tabletop Simulator. So we need, of course, if you're just starting out, we'll just have one folder, and we're going to call that folder Strike Force 1. Okay, and we'll go in there, nice blank folder. We'll go back to downloads, grab our files, hit back, go back to Strike Force 1, there we go. And of course I want to be able to see them, so I'll change it from details to large icons. Okay, so the next thing we would do is we are going to make the counters. So we double click on this, and whatever program you have to view images will come up, and then I zoom in so that now if it was, let me show you right quick, for example, World War III. This is usually with bigger games. This Strike Force Alpha or Strike Force 1 is a little different, but for most games what I do is I'll load up the counter sheet like this, and then I'll zoom in so I can just see 4 rows, and then that's how I will cut and crop them, as you're about to see with the Strike Force 1. So here we go. So I'm going to hit print screen on my keyboard, and then I'm going to go to good old Windows Paint, and then I'm going to hit Control V on my keyboard, and there they are. And then it's just a matter of cropping them. And so now these are nice counters. Some of the SPI games, they're offset. So You have to be creative. And if they're really, really bad, what I have done is I started to make my own. But anyways, I'm just going to select that, and then I'm going to hit crop, and there's my counter image. So now I'm going to save that. It's always save as a PNG file. And we're going to go to assets, and we're going to go to Strike Force 1. Strike Force 1, and we're going to go 001 because that's the very first counter. For most games, that's good. For some of the monsters coming up, you're going to want to go 0001. And why is that? Because if you overlap, if you just go 01, when you get to 10, it will make the image files, they won't be in the order that they are on the counter sheet. And I find, of course, that doing them in the order that they are on the counter sheet makes it a lot easier to keep track, so I don't miss counters like I used to in the beginning. But anyways, for this, we just need to go 01. We could just go 01 actually. But so I'll hit save, and then we click, and we go to assets, and we go back to Strike Force 1, and we see there we go. There's our first counter. Now I have cheated and already done the other counters. So we'll go get those here after I show you. Next is the rules. So if we double click on the rule book PDF that we got off of SPI.org, we see that the rules are basically the first 4 pages. After that, you have a separate booklet, which is a sample of play. And so we want both of those for this mod. However, the first 4 pages are going to be fine, but these pages here, if you did them in a PDF, you would have a large blank space around them, and they'd be in them. It wouldn't look very good. So we're going to do 2 separate methods of doing rules for this. So for the first part, we're just going to do a PDF. So I'm just going to go up to the menu, and I'm going to go to print, and I'm going to make sure this is up here is set to Microsoft Print PDF. And I'm just going to go pages 1 to 4. And that is just going to be the 4 pages we need for the rulebook, which can be a PDF in Tabletop Simulator. So I'm going to hit print. I'm then going to make sure it's set to put it in Strike Force 1. Being organized is very important once you start to do multiple mods to keep track of everything. If you don't have it organized, it's not going to be much fun. So we're just going to call it rules. Save. And now if we go look there we go. We have our little 4, and it's also a smaller file. It's only 4.73 megabytes, whereas this overall thing is 13.4, so it's easier for loading times. So now we need to get the sample of play. So for the sample of play, we're going to actually make it into pictures, and then we're going to arrange them together in states in Tabletop Simulator. So what we need to do here is we need to view this full screen mode, and then I'm going to hit print screen on my keyboard again. We kind of do it like we did with the counters. Alt tab out of this, and we go into Microsoft Paint or Windows Paint and hit new, and we paste. Of course, that's a little too big, so we'll zoom out. And now I'm going to crop that just like this. Just like that. Yeah, it looks good. And we're going to hit crop. We're going to zoom back in. Looks not too bad. I don't really like this line down here though. So let's just get rid of that line. And you'll find you'll have to do stuff like this. Little cosmetic fixes. Trying to make it look as nice as you can. We'll just get rid of all that. We don't need that. Okay, and then we're going to save that as sample 001. And that's also going to be a PNG file. The only time I use JPEGs is sometimes I'll use it for the maps, just trying to cut down the size. They can be really big, the larger file sizes. So then we hit save, and then we look in here. So we have our first counter, and we have our first sample page for the sample play, I guess. So I have cheated, and in here I have done the other, because of course I don't think you guys want to see me doing all the counters. So I've done all the other counters already and the other samples. And I've also, because the original SPI game doesn't even have a turn track for some reason with the map, so I've made one of those as well. And we're just going to take all of those and we're going to put them in Strike Force 1. Okay, and we can delete the original rules. We don't need those anymore. Oh, I guess I have to close it in here, don't I? Close that. Okay, and now looking at this directory, we have everything we need to make the game. So now, if you're beginning, you can just basically take them off your hard drive and put them right on the Steam cloud. However, after you only have so much room, and after a while you'll run out of room, like I have. You're going to see that what problems that can cause when I try to upload the rules PDF into Tabletop Simulator. So what you have to do, and it's up to you when you do it, is you need to have a online image storage that Tabletop Simulator can access. So what I have used, thanks to Rick Tobin, another mod maker on there, he pointed me to this site, is it's called Imgur. And I go to my images here, and you can see all my folders for all the games I've been making. So we're going to make a new album. You have to try to put your, once again, organization is everything. So we're going to make a new album called Strike Force 1. Yeah, if you just have it all like in the Steam cloud from my beginning days, I just have all the images from all the different mods all in one big uh, directory, I guess. So I wasn't organized, so it makes it really hard to go in and fix things for the old mods. So anyways, we'll hit save. And here's an important, I don't know why this happens, but if I start uploading images right now, they don't actually go into the album. So I have to go back to out to the home page and then go back in images and then select Strike Force 1. And now I can actually upload my images that I'm going to use for the mod. So I'm going to select all of these, these samples. So all the images I'm going to use for the mod, the map, the turn track. Actually, I should probably have the original counters. So let's go back here. Let's download this. We want this. We'll upload these right now. So all you have to do to put them on Imgur is you just have the your photo album ready to go, and then you just select all the images you want, click down, hold down, and you'll see you have 22 images. And you just go down here, and you go right here, and you drop the images there. And then it's automatically going to put all the images up on Imgur. They're now online where anybody can access them, which is what you need for Tabletop Simulator. So we're also going to go here and grab the original counters sheet, because that's what we're using, and we'll throw that onto Imgur as well. And then I just go up here and I click original file name. So now they're all in the order I want them in. Okay, so now we're basically ready to start making the mod in Tabletop Simulator. And I usually start with the map. So to get something ready to be imported into Tabletop Simulator, you click on it, Imgur, and then of all these different links here, you want the direct link. And you hit copy. As you can see, this one is a JPEG, this map. And then we go back into Tabletop Simulator. And here we are with our empty table. So now I'm going to bring the map in. So I'm going to go up to Objects, and I'm going to go to Components, and I'm going to go to Custom. And in here, I used to do the board, which has that nice wood paneling around it, but nowadays I just use the flat map like you would actually get out of the box. So I go token, I just click it there, and I right click to clear out of that, and I'll X this out. And now it wants an image. So, and I've already clicked and copied the direct link in Imager, so I hit Control V on my keyboard. Map doesn't need to be thick, so I'll put it down to 0.1. I'm not really, I don't know about this merge different distance, what it does. It doesn't seem to make much difference, but it says lower is more accurate and higher is less accurate. So I always put it to the lowest of 5. And then I hit import. And there's our little map. Now, of course, that's a little small. People would strain their eyes. So we're just going to right click on, we're going to make that as big as we can. So we're going to go to scale. And we're just going to go to up and we're going to hold down. How big can we make it? Well, it's probably, don't need it that big. So we'll go like that. Yeah. There we go. Nice big map. And the numbers are nice and clear. So I think that works. I try to center it as best I can on the table. I don't know, that looks good. And then you want to lock it, or else you'll very easily knock stuff around. So toggles, lock. And there we go, we have our map. So, well, map's not much good without counters. So let's go to objects, and we'll bring in the counter sheet. So we'll go custom token. We'll bring another custom token in here, close this out. Alt-Tab out of Tabletop Simulator, and now we find our counter sheet. So there it is. We're going to actually, I might need to crop that. Let's see what it looks like. Copy, go back to Tabletop Simulator, and let's paste that in and see what it looks like. Yeah, I don't like that white line around it. So let's just very quickly modify that. So we load this up and zoom in as far as we can. Print screen, Windows Paint, and crop. And let's get rid of the white by cropping it down to it. Unfortunately, whoever did this, it's not quite got the Strike Force 1 in it, but it's, we work with what we have. So then we go like that, and then I crop. There won't be no white line around it. Save as PNG picture and call it counter sheet. All right, now in Imager, we'll delete this old image. I'm not going to use it. And you click on it. Well, I guess I did that kind of fast. Did I? You click the trash can on it. It'll have a little check mark. And you go up and you'll have a delete button. You click that to delete an image. So now we want our actual counter sheet. So we're going to bring that into the directory here. And now we want that image. So we copy the direct link and we go back into Tabletop Simulator. We're going to change this. So you go to change an image, you custom, get back to that screen and Control V. If you just click once, you'll highlight the whole thing and you can just get rid of it with one tap of the button. And then Control V for the correct link and import. And yeah, that's much better. There's no white line around it anymore. So where are we going to put that? I guess we'll put it right here. Why not? Actually, we're going to make that bigger. We're going to make that bigger actually because we want the counters to basically fill up the hexes as much as we can. So let's scale that up. That looks like a good size. Yeah, so now that's going to go down here. And of course, it's a little too big. So now we got to change our map around. Let's move that map up a little bit so that's not sitting on the edge. There we go. And then we'll lock both of them. And now it's time to bring in our counters. So counters, and I didn't actually do the back side of the counter because they're only one side, so we'll just have to use the default color that I have already. So now we're going to bring in components, custom, and we're going to use tiles. Why a tile? It's not a token like we have been, because tiles are what you use for most counters because they have a top image and a bottom image. So for the top image, we're going to use the very first counter we have, this guy, copy, paste that in the top, and then for the bottom image, and usually you would have the reverse side in the folder, but I didn't plan that far ahead, so I got a miscellaneous folder here somewhere. Where are you? Miscellaneous. And in here, that's a nice, looks like a nice color for the backside, so we'll copy that and paste it into the bottom image. We'll make the thickness, 0.12, I guess. And we don't need to stretch the aspect ratio. That could make them look off, so I don't bother doing that. Always uncheck that, and then we hit import. And we have our very first counter. Now, the counter wants to fit inside of that hex. So we're going to take that, and we're going to go to scale, and we're going to go down until it comfortably fits inside of that hex and doesn't overlap. Because if they overlap and then they're beside each other, they'll screw your plane pieces all up. So I think that's the right size. Now, does that fit on the counter sheet? And if you go like this at an angle, you can see the shadow of where it's going to lie. And it looks like see that? That's years of experience. I knew exactly the right size for the counter sheet. So there it is, our very first counter. So now we're just going to do that for the rest of them. How many do we need here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So, and then we're just going to right click on each one, go to custom, and we're just going to change the top image. We have to go back to Strike Force 1, of course. And we're going to make sure we're on original file name, because then I can just click on this, and then I can just keep hitting the arrow over, and it will be the proper counter that I want. It took me a while to figure all this stuff out to do it in the least amount of time as possible. So then we Alt-Tab back to Tabletop. So Alt-Tab is your best friend doing this. And now we have B. And then we're going to do the next one. So we just keep going, clicking once on the top image. Click the arrow, and there's C. Copy, back, Alt-Tab back, import. All right, I'm not going to say that every time I do it. I'm just going to do it real fast now. So once you get into a rhythm, you can actually do this quite quickly. And you have to, because as any SPI fans know, or any wargame fans in general, there's some like 2,000 counter monsters out there. You do not want to be taking forever to make them. Now, if I was see, the back of the counter is that color, so obviously, if you're a stickler to detail, you don't want these units to have the same backside as these units. So let's just go back out for a second and go back to miscellaneous. Do I have a green? I don't really. So I'll just use this black one for their backside. So custom, bottom image, B, import there. So let's delete these. I don't want to have to redo the backside for each one of them. And now we can finish up. Back to Strike Force 1. Okay, and back to original file name, and we're on to X. So copy, Alt-Tab, X, and custom. And just like that, we're going to be finished. Oh yeah, I guess there's one more thing I need to tell you. This last one. So when you hit import, it will say found one matching custom object. So if you hit update, it will change the one you just did. So you always hit cancel. Always hit cancel for this. Unless, well, I don't know when there are times when you have like the identical counters. or if you're making a change to other counters. I know I've been able to do it, but usually you always hit cancel. All right, so we have all our counters. Now we're just going to line them all up. Once again, using this angle so we can see the shadow. See that shadow there, and then that means we can put the counters. Even then, I can spend quite a bit of time trying to make them all line up perfectly. But this isn't a classic. In fact, if we go to Board Game Geek and we go Strike Force 1, the Cold War heats up. Oh, 4.9. So this I don't think this game is considered a big classic. So petty, not. I mean, I always try to make the mods as nice as I can. But the only reason I'm even doing this mod is just to show you guys how I do one. I don't even know if I would have done it otherwise. But since I made it, I might as well upload it, and it will be, you know, one of those SPI titles that need to go up on Tabletop Simulator. So we got that. Yeah. Yeah, you can spend forever trying to line them up just perfect. Because I'm doing this video, maybe I'll come back in and I'll line them up perfectly later. For now, just to show you. Okay, and once you have all your counters done, it's now time to, because right now you don't have a hex map set up. You have it there, but you'd have to do it manually. You'd have to put the counters on and make sure they go in each hex manually. So now that we have our counters on the sheets, we can set up the actual hex grid. And why don't we do that first? You can do it first, but then you have to turn it off because even off of the map, the units, these counters will try to line up with the hex, so you won't be able to line them up with the counter sheet. So I usually set up the hex grid, turn it off, and then do the counter sheets, and then turn it back on once I'm ready to upload the mod. Because all these counters, if you go to toggles, you see that they're snap and grid. So they will attach to grid and they'll attach to any snap points, which is the default usually for counters. So, and I'm not going to go through and put snap points in all the counter sheets. So what I do is I just turn it all off and then put the counters on the counter sheets and then turn it on afterwards. And you'll notice in my mods that if you move a counter on one of the counter sheets, you won't be able to line it back up again because now the hex grid has been enabled. So let's set up that hex grid. And this shouldn't be too hard. Hopefully I don't eat my words. So we go to grid and we go, it looks like they are this way. I want to show the lines. Now, it doesn't show up on the map though. Why not? Because you have to right click on the map, go to toggles and say check grid projection. And then obviously we don't want black and black. Let's make it red. Yeah. So now we can see what Tabletop Simulator sees. So we need to make these red hexes match up with the ones on the map. So this is like a game within a game, people. It's fun. I mean, I've had so much fun doing this. And if you do multi-map games, you want to try to hopefully SimPubs, or SPI, whatever, pub.org, they have like an overall map made because even then, usually with multi-map games, you can't do the hex grid because when they scan the maps and they don't line up properly. But with one mapper games, you can always do the hex grids, and I prefer the hex grids. It just makes it easier to move units around. So we're going to we need to line this up. So it looks like we're not quite big enough. That looks a little too big. That looks like it's just about right. Maybe a little bit smaller. Maybe 2.10, 2.1. Let's try 2.1. That sure looks like it's almost the same size. So it looks like this one's going to be really easy. Sometimes they're really far off, but you have to basically fool around with this. So if I go 0.01, 0.05, it actually looks like the hexes are a little too big. See how they're They're starting to go off, so I think we need to go a little bit smaller. Let's try 2.08. That might be just the right size. Okay, let's take a look. That looks pretty good. So, looks like we need to come up a little bit. So 0.05. And that's pretty good. I mean, that's not perfect. Yeah. Let's try making the Y's a little bit better. No, the X's, sorry, not the Y's. Oh, 2.08. See how much fun this is? You guys are going to have a blast. 2.09. All right, that's close enough, it looks like. We'll uncheck the show now. To activate it, you do the center. And that means that they'll go to the center of the hexes, the counters. You can have it so they attach to the lines. I've never seen a game that does that. Or you can have it so it does both. But for most war games, you want center. And now we're going to uncheck show lines. So now we just see our map again. We're going to close the grid. And then we're going to we'll just copy one of these for this. So we're just going to test it out. And see, you can tell it's working because you can see how the counter shows up. And it just sticks to the hexes. And so when a player is playing now, you don't have to manually do it. It will just automatically go into each hex. So that's perfect. So that part is done. What's next? We need to do the rules. So we're going to go to objects, components. Once again, our best friend here, custom. And we want to do a custom PDF. And we click here, and then you right click to get out of that. Close this, don't need it anymore. And now we need to point onto our hard drive for PDFs. So we're going to go into assets, Strike Force 1, right here, and rules. And I'm going to hit open. And of course, you don't want people to be going onto your local hard drive. So you want to upload it to the Steam cloud. And just hit upload. And it says failed to write. Why? Why did it fail to write? Because I have filled up the portion, what I was allotted. So I have to delete something. So I go up to the Cloud Manager, and you see that 347 pages here. These are all the older mods that I've done. So I'm going to go all the way back to the oldest ones. These are the first versions of the Red Star, White Star game I did, and I've been slowly deleting them to make room for my PDFs. So if you, at the beginning, you can just upload all your images into the Steam cloud, but just be aware that there is a limit, and once you run out, I mean, your PDFs for your rule books, everything go on here. So really, the only thing you should be putting on the Steam cloud are things that aren't images. All the images you should put on like Imager, like use a online site. But keep all your Steam Cloud storage for PDFs, because as far as I can tell, I haven't been able to find a place to store PDFs online, like Imager does for images. So I just use the Steam Cloud only for PDF files and image files that are over 25 megabytes in size. Imager will not hold those. So only like big, really nice quality maps, image files and PDF files do I put on the Steam cloud. Everything else goes on Imager. So I'm going to delete this, and it works on a 1-for-1. It's not based on size of the files. It's based on how many, as far as I can tell. So I'm just going to delete that, close out of this, and now I'm going to try that again. Let's try rules again, see if it works. Up to the cloud, upload, and this time it works. Don't ask me why it works like that, but anyways, yeah. So I mean, the Steam Cloud seems to have a lot of storage. There's a lot of files. I don't know how many in total, but there is a limit. So be careful on what you're uploading to the Steam Cloud. And if we zoom in here, we see that we have our rulebook. Well, that's not big enough. So once again, scale. Let's make that bigger. Let's make it actually rulebook size. I think that's good enough. Do we need 2 copies, one for each player? And you can see how, because now I have the grid activated. Now I can only put it in certain spots. So to get rid of that, either turn the grid off and place it, or you can just, because it's a rule book, we don't need it to snap, and we don't need it to slot into the grid. So I'm just going to uncheck both of those. And now I can move this rule book wherever I want. And usually for most of my games, I do 2 rule books, one for each player to be able to look at. So I don't really think you need to with this game. It's meant to be an introductory game, and what I've read, not a very good one. But I'll put 2 copies of the rules in there. Why not? And just make sure they kind of place the same. Yeah, I think that looks about right. So then I'll lock them so that you can't accidentally move them around. And now we have a rule book. So what's left? What's left is we need to bring in that sample of play. So I'm going to use tokens. Obviously, it's not going to be a counter, but I'm just going to use that as my first one. So I'm going to change the top image. And actually, I don't need that. What am I doing? We're just going to go, it doesn't need to be double-sided. So we're just going to go token. Close that out, and now we're going to get our sample pages. So back to Imager, and we go to sample 01, and these are all in the right order as we want them. So we copy, paste. Obviously, it doesn't need to be thick, and then we just need to get it to the right size. That's a little small, so let's zoom that up. That looks about right. And once again, toggle, undo the snap and the grid, so we can put wherever we want. All right, so that's the very first one. So now we need to do the rest. So we're just going to go Control C on that, Control V, and then right click, custom, and we're just going to change the image for each one and get all those pages. Don't ever hit yes to the update. If I hit yes, then this one would become like this one. So we don't want that. So that's why I always hit cancel there. And we just keep going through. And I think that's, yeah, that's, and then we're just going to keep going. I think there's 8 pages. You just have to bear with me here as I get them. And of course, with anything, the more you do it, the faster and faster you get. Practice makes perfect. I'm not even waiting for the web page to load the picture. It takes too long. And I think this is the final page. Yep. Okay, so there's all the sample plays. Well, we don't want them all like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to line them up like this. Let's go this. Let's move them over there. So we need to make them into a book, basically, a booklet. And, I guess if I just throw them off. No, that's not going to work. I don't have enough room to work. That's what's happening here. So let's just take that. Turn 2, turn 1, turn 2, and turn 1. So this should be this. I guess what I should have done is kept them all small so I can actually work with them on this table. I just don't have enough room. So let's scale them down. Okay. Now, of course, I got the order all screwed up. That's first. Second. Turn 2. And I have to get them in the right order, basically, here to make the state. Make them put into state so that you can read them in the right order, or player can. Still not going to have enough room. Just not quite enough. It's a lot easier with counters, of course, because they're much smaller. All right, there we go. So now we're gonna basically we're gonna create a state. So that's like what the counters when you have different states to them, like the altitudes of the fighters and the Spitfire and Foxbat and Phantom. But you have to have them in the right order. So then you click and you just highlight them because it's going to store these states in the order that you highlight them. And then we go back to the first one and we go down, we go create states. And they're all in the first one. And I forgot to turn the tool tips off, so we got that stupid snowflake symbol above, but I don't think, if I go toggles, tooltip, there we go. And then you can just click on the different, and of course I'll have to undo, well, it doesn't really matter for this game, I don't think. 3. So as you can see now, you can go through each page, seeing the sample of play. And now we'll make it bigger again. So we'll go back to the first page. And we'll put the sample of play, oh, I don't know, right here, I guess. And scale up. There we go. And we have our sample of play. Not the prettiest one, but that's what happens when you're making a video and you need to keep moving. And we will lock that. Toggles lock. All right. What else do we need? We need the box, and we need a turn track. So let's do the turn track. So we'll copy that. There's only 4 turns in this game, and let's see here. Create. We're going to have to create another token. Close that. Paste the image in. Make it small. Make it merge distance. There we go. There's our turn track. Yay! We'll put that. Oh, that should really go at the top, shouldn't it? All right. So actually, and people might not know what this is. So let's go sample play in the description. And then that's just a tooltip board, which of course we've turned off, so I don't know why I did that. And we'll just turn the tooltip back on. It's not so bad having that symbol there for that. For the counters, I can't stand it. All right, we got to turn off snap and grid. Put that right there. And that means we still need to do a game turn counter. So we're going to go like this. We're going to change the top image. Where is it? There's game turn. Copy that. Paste. And there's our game turn. Now, obviously this isn't a hex grid. So what we're going to do is we're going to lock that there. And we're going to go on this counter and we're going to uncheck grid. We're just going to have it so it only attaches the snap points. And we're going to create 4 snap points. So to do that, you just click here, point, and now wherever I click on here is going to create a snap point. So I'll go, I'll try to put them in the middle. There, there, there. This is another one of those things that practice makes perfect. Some people will take an entire map and snap point in the middle of every hex. I did that a couple times and I never ever want to do it again. Never again. Okay, I think that looks pretty much centered. Not quite, but so now let's test it out. There we go. Our game turn locks to each turn. So we'll put back on turn 1 because that's where we're going to start. And now we have our turn track done. I think that is everything. So what do we got left here? We have the actual, oh, it's a real pretty box. Just a white. Anyways, we're going to go back and we'll do once again, create a new object and token. Close that and we'll paste that in. Now this one is a box. We're going to go to a thickness 0.50. Why not? Import. There's our box. Now I usually have them standing up. And first of all, we need to make a box size. Scale it up. Maybe we'll. So how do you stand up the boxes? Big mystery. And that is, you go, bear with me here. You go Gizmo, you click this, and then we go like that. I think I can move this, yeah, move it up like that. And I need to change the angle. I can never remember which one it is. Is it this one? If I hit 90 degrees here? Nope, that's not it. Back to 180. Okay, how about this one? 90 degrees? So just this is basically how I've learned everything in here, is just messing around with it. There we go. And I'd like to 45. Nope, that's the wrong way. 106 now. 135. Nope. Let's go back to 90. What's that? I think that's what I want. So let's close out of that. Okay. So there is 4-strike-1. We're going to lock that right now so it doesn't fall over. And then we just need to move it over onto the side of the table so it's not in the way. And let's move it there. And then move to the side. I think that looks about right, doesn't it? Halfway on the table? Looks like it is. Strike force 1. Yeah, I think it could be bigger, but I'm not going to mess around with it right now because this video is getting long enough as it is. And there we go. We have our box. We're also going to use that as our thumbnail. That image is our thumbnail for the workshop, which I'll show you in a minute. So what do we got left to do? Well, it's not very pretty, is it? But it will do the trick. Oh, we need dice. We need some dice. So let's go object. Looks like we only need one 6-sided dice components. And we got dice. And we'll just use a plastic one. And we'll just use the good old default. There we go. We have a dice. I have specific ones that would make shooting noises. And you can save them as objects. So then if you go in here, you see I have all the dice. Actually, why don't we use a machine gun dice? Yeah. This is supposed to be modern day. So we'll use a machine gun. And we'll get rid of this good old default. So there we go. And we'll make it a little bit bigger. Yeah. Oh yeah, I see my luck. Luck's good. Oh, that's better. Yeah, me and my 6s. All right, so we have our counters. We have our dice. We have our map. We have it so it locks. We have our rules. We have our sample of play. We have our turn track. I think the game basically can be played now. We just need to maybe dress it up a little bit. I'm not going to spend too much time on this game. As I said, I wasn't even going to do it, but it's perfect for a video on how to make a mod for Tabletop Simulator. So you have your different backgrounds. You can get custom ones as well. I usually just load them in from the. I get the mod, for example, games like I have my mods here, and if there's a background I really like, I'll just go into the mod. I'll go options. I'll go search and rate. Of course, this one doesn't have one, right? No. So let's close out of that. And let's go to SBI's Invasion of America. Is there a background for any of these? Nope. Oh my. Oh, what's something that has a background? Well, I know that I know one East has a background. Has that? Yeah. So there, it'll say custom backgrounds usually at the beginning. So if you see a mod that you really like the background, just subscribe to it, and then go. So it's in your list, and then you go into the games, and then you go to the to the to the game itself, and you go up to the 3 dots, click it, and go search, and then usually the custom background is the very first thing, and you just click it, and it will automatically load it into the mod you're currently in. Of course, I don't think Strike Force 1 is set in the wintertime, so we'll probably just make it the default field. So for most things, you can just use the custom background or the default backgrounds. So we'll just use the default background of, oh, there's a little bit of forest in here, so we'll use the forest. Yeah, nice pretty forest. That's kind of bright though. It's kind of bright to me. So I'm going to go to options. I'm going to go to lighting. And I'm just going to turn that ambient intensity down a little bit and the lighting down just a tad. And we'll close out of there. There, that looks better. And you're going to have to fool around with things to what you would like them to be. And I think that's basically it. So what do we have left to do? We need to save it. So we'll hit save. I'll call it Strike Force 1. And for some reason, you have to hit this. You have to do this twice because it's going to now want it in a folder. So you're going to call that folder Strike Force 1. Hit save. And there you go. Now the other thing you have to do is you have to go up to options, you have to go to info, and you have to kind of set out, you don't want to call flex table. So we're going to change that to Strike Force 1. And type, it's a game. Complexity, I would say low. Playing time, I don't know, 60 to 90 minutes. So this lowest to highest, 60 to 90 minutes. Number of players, 2 max. 1 person if they want to solo it. Edit the tags. You want to have board games. You want to have strategy games. You want to have war games. This is what I do. You can do whatever you want. Assets. We have background. We have the components. We have dice. We have lighting. We have the rules. We have a table. And we have sounds because of the dice, I guess. Language is English. And custom, I always add this. SPI. So anybody who types that in when they're looking for games, this will come up. And then you hit X. And now you see all the stuff. So you need to do that before you upload this mod to Steam, to the workshop. So we'll close that out. And now we're basically ready to upload this game to Tabletop Simulator Workshop in Steam. So we're going to go to modding. We're going to go to Workshop Upload. We're going to go Strike Force 1 is our workshop title. Workshop description, I'm lazy. So let's all tab out. And let's go to Board Game Geek. And let's take the description here. Copy it. And yeah. Oh, we don't really, well, I guess they can have all that information. And we hit Control C. And we then go back into Tabletop Simulator and hit Control V. And boom, all that's there. And as I said before, our workshop thumbnail, what people will see when they're searching, we want to click here and we're going to use the box cover. I'm sure it's very boring. And then we hit ready to go. This is it. We're making our workshop item. We hit upload. It says beginning upload to workshop. And it says upload workshop mod successful. Now, this is very important here. This number, you need to have this number if you want to edit your mod. And there is another way to get it, but you can do it. You can see it right on Steam what your number is. But here, I just take this, I highlight it, and I go Control C, and then Alt Tab out. We go back to the Strike Force Alpha, and then I make a new text document, and I call it Steam number. And any other information I'm ever going to need, I'll put in this little text document. And I click on it, and then I hit Control V. And there is the Steam number to edit and modify this mod. And I'm going to hit File, Save, close out of that. And now, for every one of my games, I have that, so I can get it offline if I need to. And then we go back into Tabletop Simulator. We hit OK. Now, we Alt-Tab out. We go to Steam itself, Tabletop Simulator. We go to the Community Hub. We go to the Workshop. And we see your workshop files. I click there. Now there's Strike Force 1. But it's hidden. Nobody else can see it yet. So you have to go inside of it. But there's a few things left that you want to do. And that is, first of all, you don't want, if I go into someone's mod and I only see this picture, I usually, most times, just click out of it. So I like to see a picture of the actual mod. So let's go back into the mod. And let's take some of this stuff out. We're going to go to configuration and take the tools out. Yeah, we can take all this stuff out. Take all that out. So now we just see the actual picture. And I try to get a nice little angle. Of course, this game, it's kind of hard to show it off because there's not much to it. So we'll go like that, and then I hit print screen on my keyboard. And then Alt Tab out. I go to Windows Paint, New, Control V. There's my image. You do not want to say this is a PNG file. It's too big. So just save it as JPEG. And inside my Strike Force 1, I go Screen 1. Hit Save. Now if we look in there, we see our screen. And now I go back to Steam. And I go down here and I go Add, Edit Images and Videos. I choose a file. And then we go to Strike Force 1. I know if I'm going through this quick, but you guys can rewind or slow me down or whatever. Hit screen 1, hit open, and hit upload. And now that picture's there. We go back to the item, and now it actually shows a picture of the game in action, which I find essential. I also usually will add, nowadays, I add a YouTube video from my YouTube channel, which will show off the game in actual, action. I think that's pretty much it. The only other thing we need to do is make it unhidden. So we're going to go to change visibility, and here you guys get to see in real time mod going public. And there we go. It's public. The other thing I do is I go back into Tabletop Simulator, and we'll get our UI back here, top menu and tools, apply. And I'll go up to modding, and I'll do, this is how you would update a mod. You would make your changes, go to workshop, upload, and then you go over here, click the second tab, update workshop. And this is where it's going to want that number that I saved. It wants that number for you to do the update. So you go to Steam number or whatever you have it called, and you hit Control C to get your number, go back in, there it is, and hit update. Begins this upload, and boom, successful. There is another way of getting that number. It's right on Steam. I can't remember exactly where it is, but there is a way to do it. Oh yeah, it's right up there. So up on the link, that 305-014-5895, that is the number you need for to update it. And I think that is it. We go back to the workshop. It's now going to show it. All the followers will now get a notice saying, "Hey, there's a new mod out," and they're going to say, "Well, what is this? This is barely a game," but it was very useful in making a shorter video on how to make a mod for Tabletop Simulator. Hopefully, I covered everything. I probably forgot something. If so, I will answer it in the comments, or if it's big enough, I'll make another video on it. But that's all I have for today. Until next time, take care, guys, and have a great night.